Hey everyone, it's Colin. How's it going? Just kind of a quick video for you. I'm back out at Geek Twin Cities, if you couldn't tell, and this machine kind of caught my eye. It's kind of a typical newer gamer style case, I guess. We've got some fans in the front, and you open the door. Okay, that's a little weird, right? We got a DVD burner and a floppy drive, but maybe the person was a little esoteric and dealt with legacy media or something like that, right? This is probably a gaming PC from, I don't know, 5-6 years ago would be my guess, but well, things start getting a little weird when you look at the back. That doesn't look like a normal gaming PC from the back. There's a BNC connector on the network card, just a VGA port, and what's going on with these? Well, you look through the glass side panel and things are become a little more clear. Let me take this panel off and we'll get a closer look at what's going on and explain what this whole thing's deal is. And yeah, it turns out this thing is just a complete reverse sleeper. I guess the case came in with the power supply and maybe the fans, but nothing else inside it. And so one of Free Geek's employees decided, hey, let's just do something kind of fun and crazy. And we had some random parts, I guess, like the motherboard and CPU and video cards and whatnot that didn't have a case to go in, so put the two together. Very nice cable management here. And if you remember my episode where we built a retro PC from new old stock parts, I talked about rounded cables. These are rounded cables. So IDE cables, instead of being completely flat, what manufacturers did, and sometimes people would do this themselves, is they basically kind of like took all the individual strands and pulled them apart, and then you'd put them in like, the cable management, like tubes and whatnot, just to keep them nice and tidy. It promotes better airflow, and you could get custom length, shorter cables so that you just wouldn't end up with quite so much all over the place. Of course, this case also really helps in that regard, in that you've got cable management channels behind the motherboard. So, the power supply and the front panel wiring and everything just stays super neat and tidy. And this thing is just super cool. So my understanding is this is a socket 7 board. It's an Asus. Nice selection of slots on here. 4 PCI and 4 ISA. You've got 3 RAM slots, and I believe this one's got 128 megabytes of RAM in it, which is kind of ridiculous considering that this CPU, I guess, is a Pentium MMX 233. So yeah, you're not going to be hurting for RAM, but old RAM is super cheap these days. If you've got laying it around, throw it in there. I guess the video card, if we can get a good look at it here. I don't really want to take this thing apart, but it's an S3 Verge DX, 4 megabytes. So for the era, pretty decent. Looks like it's just a kind of a basic D-Link, probably 10100 Ethernet card, but that's totally fine. It's not like you're going to be doing like a ton of LAN gaming or anything on this. It's just more for convenience. It does have just the onboard sound, but obviously with tons of slots, you could throw a sound blaster of your choice in here. Just lots of opportunities. I guess the reason for the DVD burner is just because that's, what was sitting around in IDE form and had a black bezel on it to fit. And of course, you're going to throw a floppy drive in there because why not? If you wanted, you could do a GoTech or something like that. You might be wondering, where's the hard drive? Well, it took me a little bit, but so there's 2 IDE channels, right? This one is for the DVD burner. And then you've got another one going back here into the cable management. Apparently what they did, and I don't really want to take this all apart because they put a lot of work into it, but I guess there's a 4 gigabyte SSD tucked into the case somewhere, and they've got it hooked up through an IDE to SATA adapter. So, for a retro machine, going with solid state is a great upgrade if you can do it. And some people like the sounds of original mechanical drives, and you could totally do that with a machine like this if you wanted, but obviously it's just going to be way faster if you can go with solid state. So I think that was a smart move on their part. I believe the fans are LED, and we may put this thing up on the bench and turn it on just real quick to see what it looks like. But I just think this is super cool. I found the build sheet, and here it is. It's got FreeDOS on it, but of course you could put Windows 95, 98 on here if you want. And I guess they threw a few random games on that SSD as well. But I just really dig the idea of these reverse sleepers. I think it's something we don't really see too often in retro. You know, people are always looking for period accurate and all that kind of stuff, but you know, sometimes it's fun to do a crazy build, throw some random parts at it just to spice things up a bit. All right, let's turn this thing on and see what we do. Oh, nice. And they just cycle through colors, of course. I love that. What's neat about a machine like this is, well, one, it's actually not very heavy. Because, I mean, you think about it like, you know, there's a lot of weight in modern PCs because they've got big heat sinks, lots of weight involved in like cooling systems, of course. And if you've got multiple drives and big heavy video cards, all that kind of stuff, this thing is actually surprisingly lightweight to pick up, but it's really quiet. You know, if that's really the primary source of heat is the CPU and there's no mechanical hard drive in here, it's just really the power supply fan, and then these fans are actually quite quiet, and they're blowing a decent amount of air, but this thing is going to have absolutely no thermal problems whatsoever. It looks like there is a way to control the fans. Let's see if that works. Yes. Oh, let's not do the blinky. Okay. Sweet. So yeah, there's just a single push button to cycle through the different colors. So you don't need to have a special motherboard to do it, which I know is the case with some fans. I'll leave it back the way it was with just the cycling through the colors. Let me hit the lights and we'll see what this thing looks like in the dark. That's kind of neat. Like in a ridiculous way, right? And because there just isn't that much stuff inside the case, the glow from the fans actually illuminates the motherboard pretty decently. I don't know if I would leave it on the scrolling colors myself, but it's kind of a cool option. So yeah, that's the Free Geek Twin Cities reverse sleeper build. I don't think they do this sort of thing very often, but when they do, it can be kind of ridiculous and certainly a lot of fun. And you know, considering the prices of retro stuff these days, honestly, I think $300 is fair, considering it's complete and there's a lot of nice upgrades to it. I mean, 128 megabytes of RAM on a machine built to be a FreeDOS, you know, gaming system. Like, yeah, you've got plenty of headroom here if you wanted to throw Windows 95 or 98 on this thing to get a little bit more expansion into that gaming. Obviously, there's no AGP, so that's going to be a little bit limiting on the graphics front, but there's plenty of PCI slots, plenty of ISA slots. You can throw in an upgraded sound card if you want. You could swap out the video card. Having that 4 gig SSD right off the bat is a super nice add-on. Just makes things so much smoother and faster, but of course you could swap that out for an IDE mechanical drive if you like the clicky-clacky sounds, no big deal. Otherwise, you know, it's just nice sometimes to have a pre-built thing that's been tested and ready to go. As much as we love to build this kind of stuff ourselves, not everyone necessarily has that skill or that knowledge from back in the day of those kinds of parts. Maybe they want to play the games, but that person doesn't really have the knowledge of how to assemble these systems and make them work, you know, optimally. I think $300 for something like this is definitely really fair. Anyway, if you like this one, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe. You can follow me on social media at thisdoesnotcomp. And as always, thanks for watching.